And I'm live, according to the fucking thing. So, I'm gonna tweet out the link to this while I get started. There's just a host of depressing things. Like, the common person shouldn't have to deal with. That have been going on. Um, and so I figured a title like "Copyright Will Kill This Channel, but We're All Dying Anyway" captured the spirit of exasperation that I have. Um, I'm posting this on Facebook. I'm tweeting this out on Fitterbook. Fucking boomer tier comment there while people filter in. And I'm going to be posting this in a bunch of group messages. I didn't do that last time. But I'm going to be doing it with this one because I'm just tired. I'm tired of just there are so many ways that the state fucks the average person in so few ways for us to find out about it because they, as Peter Coffin so eloquently put it, control the means of information. So I like it's hard to justify running something like this when there's so few ways that we can do anything about it and so much wrong. I mean, let's be real specific here and like real clear and say that there are too many problems to talk about in a given day that happen in a given day. So and yes, I'm already starting this with a rant. You know, I'll get the sponsors out there as soon as I share this in a few places, but I'm just for every problem that's solved, there's another one that crops up. For every issue that's combated effectively, there's another issue attached to it that still goes through. I mean, I'm tired. Like, one of the things I'm going to be talking about today is a thing that I wouldn't know about if I didn't watch Philip DeFranco. But it wasn't like his headlining subject when literally it could kill this entire platform. This entire platform could fucking die because of this thing that I'm going to talk about coming up here. The EU fucking policy. And the fact that the EU even has a fucking effect on American politics, an effect on American posts, is so goddamn stupid that it's unbearable to discuss. But here I am talking about shit again. I'm going to invite some people. I was added to Follow Fridays for the first time in a while. And I don't know why. Honestly, I'm an incredibly unpleasant person, and nobody should either listen to or follow me. But apparently, some people disagree. So, thank you to those of you who do, because you keep this afloat. I'm gonna get the the link sent out to those people while getting the sponsorships talked about. This is sponsored by Love Java, Performance Butter Coffee with MCT and CBD oils. If you want something good for your inflammation, good for, general malaise, this has both caffeine and CBD. So it's like marijuana, but it'll get you the opposite way, which I kind of like. It's also brought to you by Necrotopia RPG. You can find that at necrotopiarpg.com. It is an apocalyptic role-playing game for the tabletop. You survive the apocalypse So it's not one of those ones where the apocalypse already happened. You have to survive the whole ass apocalypse. So you can check that out at necrotopiarpg.com. Um, and it's also brought to you by Liberty Under Attack. Sorry, I just saw a funny tweet. Liberty Under Attack publications. If you want a full service publishing house for your libertarian or liberty oriented book, feel free to hit them up. They do graphics, printing, binding, the whole deal. They'll also do narration and graphics, all of it. And if you tell them Jeremiah sent you, they will give you fucking 20% off the full service package. So you could get your book published for much less than some people charge. And all because you're willing to use libertarian services for libertarian ends, which I strongly support. I think supporting libertarians is the only way, libertarians and anarchists is the only way forward. And realistically, I think that the best services you'll find are from these people, because they have not only their own personal product to push, but they have, a message that they really care about. And if they fuck up the message too. So feel free to go support those people, hashtag agorism, because they are definitely worth support. Also, LibertyProfessionals.com if you're in Virginia and you need private investigative services, hit them up. They do very good work. Also, if you need private security consulting anywhere in the country, feel free to hit them up. They do good work, and they'll do it for very affordable rates. And every time you support one of the sponsors, you support the show. So if you want to support me, you can do that by supporting any of the people in the description. Anytime you support anything like that, I get help. So all of that aside, just depressing. I'm tweeting this out to the people in this Follow Friday, and I'll check the chat coming up here relatively shortly for all the welcome messages. Let me go thank you, actually. I'll do thank you live right now, actually. I honestly should have had a lot of this loaded up, but I was too busy building show notes. There are lots of things to be upset about today. Not the least of which are things that, it's like you manage one thing and another thing crops up. Thank you live right now, actually. Thank you live right now, actually. And thank you live right now, actually. Retweet that. Retweet that. And retweet that. So, I'm going to check the chat messages, see how many people have already depressed. Fucking concurrent viewers 4. Hello to all of you. Hey, what's up, dude? Don't have much use for Virginia-based PIs, but good to see you anyway. Well, hey, if you decide you have use for this stream and you want to get a book published, or even if you just buy a book from them, they'll continue to support. Mostly the tell them Jeremiah sent you thing is for the full service thing. But, if you ever just want to buy something good, Bag Quaker Ben's book is out on Liberty Under Attack. You can support me by supporting him, things like that. I'm sad for many reasons, but happier talking, Jay. Well, I'm glad to hear that, because, I don't understand it. I'm pessimistic as fuck about the things I discuss, but, I'm glad to hear that other people are happy. And it's good to know, because, the fact that I've been doing this for this long, I think it's like 4 years now. Um, it does start to tax one. So I'm glad that people believe I'm providing value. But like, okay, so I'm gonna get this subject out of the way first, because I think Gmail taxes my system the most. This channel is under attack from copyright fucking owners, and I'm not monetized yet. I have under 1,000 subscribers, and I don't have 4,000 watch hours this year. If y'all want to change that, all you got to do is share these sorts of videos around, tell people about the channel, get people watching. But even being unmonetized so far, they're going to put ads on some of my videos anyway, because these people are claiming, not, you know, not being factual or logical or reasonable, claiming that because I used like 2 minutes of their content, I'm guilty of copyright infringement or something. Like, it's content ID based stuff. Now, my channel isn't struck, but the videos aren't eligible for monetization, even though there might be ads that pop up on it to service these people, not even me. Please use an ad blocker. Like, even when I have monetization, I'm pretty much only gonna want to use that for, fucking the super chat function and things like that, the membership function, because the ad system here is just AIDS, and I'm not even being sarcastic about it. It's like a literal disease where the body attacks itself. Here's why I'm saying this. So just 9 days ago, okay, I came out with this video, fucking the Area 51 fail video, and because I included not even all, but some of a news report on the border wall sucking ass and being easy to climb over, because I included video footage from Telemundo, they're claiming the entire fucking video. They're claiming the whole fucking thing. Because I included, I think, about 30 seconds of footage. And under fair use, you're allowed to include portions of footage, or even the whole thing if you discuss it for a significant portion longer than the footage itself was, as part of an educational or derivative work. And I was using that for my educational purposes. I was showing people that was among the many reasons I'm anti-border wall, because not only does it steal land, not only is it fucking ineffective in the form of keeping traffic from between borders, because it's not even a wall, it's a fence, so there are holes in the middle of it that you can reach through and send goods and services through. But it's easy to climb, and like easier to climb than a wall would be, because you've got handholds that you can use. And instead of just like elaborating on this and being hypothetical, I showed 30 seconds of a Telemundo clip. And YouTube claims that I now can't make any money off of that video, and all the money has to go to Telemundo, because of 30 seconds out of like an hour and a half stream. And the same thing happened from my stream, I think it was 2 days ago, where fucking, because I played an Economist video, a 2-minute Economist video, like the magazine Economist, video that was on Twitter, and I even played it through Twitter. The guy who made the song in the Economist video apparently can claim any video that has that song in it. So his fucking dumb copyright content ID bullshit automatically hit, and he's like, "Yep, I'm gonna take your money." Now, again, this channel isn't monetized. You know, hell, I don't even know where fucking rent is coming from, coming up here shortly. So it's not like I'm losing something, but I will if this channel ever gets successful and for some reason somebody decides to dig through the archives and see what I thought about the Area 51 raids, or about, you know, the Geiger situation with the Botham. I think it's, people have been pronouncing it John, so I'll say John. Botham John situation. Because I talked about that, if people are interested in seeing my opinion on it, they'll see the Economist's ads on my content. So I don't like copyright, and I'm not going to like it anymore because of another thing I'll discuss. I wanted to bring it up because it's so absurd to me that I can't rely on my channel, which completely complies with fair use, to like give me the money from my content. And YouTube claims the whole fucking video, 2 hours of streaming for this other guy. And if I remember correctly from watching a Nerd City video, which I would highly recommend people subscribe to Nerd City, when your video is demonetized, there's a code that gets attached to it that says, "Don't recommend this video." Don't recommend it. If there's other videos of higher priority, recommend them first, because this video has copyrighted content in it. So my video very likely will be suppressed because fucking Audio Network, which I later found out who Audio Network was and tweeted at him, but he hasn't responded yet, because obviously if your job is to be lazy and just claim people's 2-hour videos for 2 minutes of like somebody else's video, the Economist's video, like The Economist has more claim to that copyright, that content ID, than this guy does. But they're not getting it. They're not getting it for their fully produced video that they had the license to. They're not getting it for the effort that they went into to talk about that company, with the monitoring devices that they hung around those employees' necks. They're not talking about it for those reasons, right? They're not getting that money, because this guy can just claim any video that copies it. So if you want to enrich this guy and you've got some subscribers, just cross-post the Literal Economist and you will help this guy, because he gets to claim any video with his audio in it. It's just such an asinine, hackneyed, fucked up system. And I wanted to talk about that near the beginning of the stream, because it means that no matter how successful I get, there's still going to be things like this hanging over my head. I can't count on videos that I have made absolutely damn sure are copyright friendly, paying me later because people decided that they wanted to fucking be bitches about shit. So that was how my past like week or so went. I don't know. And Bullshito says, "I'll throw some of your streams into my Discord. May not result in anything." Well, thank you. I don't know what you were saying in theory too, but in application they delete channels over humming half a... Yeah, dude. Okay, so that, and you don't even have to have the content in it in any form. You don't have to hum it. You don't... Gus Johnson, I subscribe to him, and I have been for a while now. A friend of mine turned me on to this guy, and he talked about Bohemian Rhapsody in a video. He talked about it. And that speech talking about it, even not including any of the audio, even not including any copyrighted fucking images, that got his video claimed by UMG. Because YouTube is run by people who care about making money off the backs of small creators and don't really care how much money the small creators make. I mean, it's just so fucking absurd. It's like I can't count, even if I get tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, which I doubt cuz my streams are kind of shit, subscribers. I can't count on these streams making me money. So all I'm going to do right now with regard to that is put a link in the chat if you guys right? Yeah, I got somebody posting lyrics from Bohemian Rhapsody. That could if I read these lyrics in a clear enough voice that their text recognition can, or their voice to text can write this down in the script, I have no doubt that that will get me fucking blocked in some manner. So let me see. He's just a poor boy from a poor family. And we'll see if me saying that can get my video struck by UMG. No, I'm going to read it out loud because it doesn't matter. Like, my things aren't monetized. I'm going to put a link in the chat if you guys want to throw some money at me on PayPal. But that's the only way I can make money, is direct donations, because my shit isn't monetized. I have under 1,000 subs, and 4,000 watch hours are necessary as well. So I'm not losing anything yet from saying that. And I want to see if saying that, Scaramouche, Scaramouche, can you do the fandango? Thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening me. Fucking fuck it, I don't care. Suck my ass, UMG. So I want to see if that's enough to trigger it. If they're gonna accuse me of copyright infringement for saying lyrics, I want to see. And I actually wasn't even planning on that, but we need to speak Chacaron. I don't know what that is, but I'm assuming Magnifico, yeah. Yeah, IP is bullshit, Aaron. Like, so for those of you who just tuned in, 2 of my videos have been content ID claimed by different people. And it's over fair use. I didn't violate any fair use. And I'm being subject to the same kinds of things that people who do would be. I can't fucking justify not saying certain things or trying to censor my speech or my content at all if this is what I'm going to get in return. Because, like, there are people who make, like, $1 a day on YouTube because their videos are falsely claimed by copyright hawks. And I have no doubt that no matter how careful I am, I'm going to be there someday. I'm just going to be making, like, $1. Because when they strike one of your videos, they strike many of your videos at once. Like, your channel is considered less monetizable because you used fucking copyright. Whatever. That's not what this stream is about. I just thought I'd get that off my chest. Because it's fucking hilarious, but it's also terrible. And I hate it. And I wanted to do that, like, sort of as a lead-in to discussing the fucking Nickelback bullshit. Where, like, and, fuck Trump. I don't like him. I don't like most of the things he stands for. Especially since what he stands for this week could just be another thing next week. Fucking, I don't know, WikiLeaks. Yeah, fuck you. But that aside, sorry. I fucking still have the bad morning news slides up. that aside, he tweeted a Nickelback meme, the same Nickelback meme so many other people have tweeted, where it's the Nickelback guy fucking holding up the photograph with something in it other than what was in the photograph in the music video and saying, look at this photograph. And it was the photograph of fucking Biden's son along with Ukrainian oil VP execs or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. It's all a dog and pony show. It's all a distraction. But Nickelback content ID'd or copyright claimed that video, even though it wasn't a violation of copyright, even though it is fair use, because they could. And it didn't matter, right? So now there's so many fucking people just posting the video, posting about the video, posting the thing that he posted. And like, yeah, there are some people posting, which good for them, pictures of him and Epstein, because that's another photograph people should look at. But just, this is what you get. This is the Streisand effect. Like when Barbara Streisand wanted to hide her house from people, and it's not unauthorized by law to post her house, pictures of her house. And fucking she said, don't do it. And then everybody did it. The Streisand effect should be something that everybody on the internet knows. And I think Trump did know about the Streisand effect. And I think he knew this would happen. Especially since Nickelback isn't exactly the most conservative band. And why would you be? I mean, when you churn out stuff on an assembly line to the point where every song is basically another variation of the song, fucking uninvented boilerplate post new metal semi grunge, which is just washed out. Like, they should really be buddies, Nickelback and Trump, because they're fucking uninventive. They regularly, disappoint people, and yet they're still given accolades, and they still have a huge fan base, and they get awards and shit. They should be buds, They're basically the same. But Nickelback wants to continue making terrible stuff. I don't know. They're just fucking. It's hard not to be upset when this is like, Trump is gonna get 4 more years. If you don't like Trump, you shouldn't do stuff that will result in him getting 4 more years. Because you're giving him 4 more years. He's gonna get it. And it's because of things like this, where Nickelback suppresses a video, and it's a short enough video that everybody can tweet about it, right? Everybody can tweet that video. It's 2 minutes and under 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It's under Twitter's video limit. Fucking anybody can tweet it out, and many people have. So congratulations, Nickelback. Your song is now everywhere. The Trump video is now everywhere. The Streisand effect worked, and so many more people are talking about the Democrats and, problems with the Democrats, not the least of which was Moloch, which trended, and Eat the Babies, which is something else I'm going to be discussing. Because you decided to strike the copyright. People, they want their money. That's all they want. That's it. Fucking. Anyway, I just thought I'd get that out, because copyright is ass. And it's proof that copyright is ass. So, if you decide you want to support the content, feel free. But all that aside, let's get to the rest of the news, starting with Eat the Babies, which is a distraction, yet another, in a long list of distractions. The fact that people post this, the fact that people are this invested in a thing that will likely never happen, really shows you how much attention they will give to one person if they think that one person is emblematic of everything they consider evil. Which, yes, eating babies is evil, and I'm not going to say it's not. But this is the attention that Eat the Babies guy is getting. This is it. Just a long string of Eat the Babies, or a woman, whatever. All these people could be talking about anything more important. But we're talking about Eat the Babies people. You know, save the planet, eat the babies, blah, blah. Mark... So, yeah, it's bad. And I'm not saying it's not bad. But at the same time, let's be very specific. There are more important things to discuss. Right? Save the planet, eat the babies. We must eat the babies. And this is the video, I guess.
We're not going to be here for much long because of the climate crisis. We only have a few months left. I love that you support the Green Deal, but it's not getting rid of fossil fuel. It's not going to solve the problem fast enough. A Swedish professor saying, we can eat dead people, but that's not fast enough. So I think your next campaign slogan has to be this: we got to start eating babies. We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2. All of you, you're a pollutant. Too much CO2. We have to start now, please. You are so great. I'm so happy that you're really supporting the Green Deal, but it's not enough. Even if we would bomb Russia, we still have too many people.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm not scrolled down enough.
It's a big problem. Just stopping having babies is not enough. We need to eat the babies. And this is very serious. Please give a response.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you. We'll go ahead. Okay.
So, anyway. First off, look at how stunned AOC is. Everybody wants to make it seem like she co-signs this. She does not look like she was prepared for this woman to speak. Yes, it's bad. Don't eat the babies. But this isn't real. There's nothing authentic about this. And watch, C-SPAN fucking copyright strikes me. You know? There's nothing authentic about this. I mean, let's be very specific. If the elites want to wipe out populations, they'll do what they've been warning us in semi-esoteric symbology for a long time. I talked about the laughing gargoyle last time we were streaming. I talked about the Denver International Airport murals and the fact that they are called In Peace and Harmony with Nature, which practically echoes the Georgia Guidestones, which suggest a reduction of the human population to 500 million. If they want to kill, they're not going to eat the babies. They need workers. They'll save the babies so that they can work in the fucking mines or whatever. If they really truly wanted to do something evil, they would do it. They don't need eat the babies woman. This is a distraction. But, it's a distraction people ate up, ironically, because it's better to eat up this distraction than to talk about real shit. And so I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated with this. I'm frustrated with the fact that people can't stop being pulled aside to whatever new thing there is to discuss. And why? Well, because there are extremely valid things to discuss that don't get discussed when those things are the primary things the media is covering. So let me go over one of them. And that is that the EU now has essential control over all public information on social networks. And I posted on Twitter and then posted this on Facebook because it's so stunning to me that people aren't talking more about this. That most of the internet is now under the control of the EU Why is nobody talking about this? If the ECJ can delete any speech the EU government deems illegal, then the EU government decides discourse for the whole world. Content too. Now, what am I talking about when I talk about that? I'm talking about this decision that was made regarding Eva Glavishing Pichek. I think that's how you pronounce the name. I don't know. It's fucking European. And the EU's European Court of Justice. So I posted this on Facebook. Eva Glavishing Pichek is a coward who demanded critics be censored. EU's European Court of Justice ruled in her favor, demands EU law apply globally. Facebook, a CIA government shill, complied with the ECJ, but it's very upset, they promise. And I severely doubt that, because Facebook already censors literally anything they want. Now they can use the excuse of, it's out of my hands, I had to censor. And the ECJ ruling potentially puts all social media under control of the EU. And so I made it very clear, fuck you, you fascist pieces of tyrannical garbage, because that was what got censored before. People calling her a fascist got her opponents censored. That's not at all approving of her point. Nah. Fucking, so I'm gonna click this tab over here so that y'all can see the post in question. The post that, I believe confirms that the EU is in control of the internet now. It's on Rogue Rocket. And that is that the EU rules Facebook can be forced to remove content worldwide. The EU's highest court has ruled that if one EU member country decides content posted on Facebook is illegal, Facebook can be forced to remove specific content worldwide. Facebook and other critics argue the rule will violate freedom of expression laws in other countries because removing content that one country deems illegal might be protected as free speech in another country. No shit. Some critics also claim the rule will allow authoritarian leaders to justify censorship and stifling political dissent. No shit. So this was the ruling. The ECJ made the decision after Austrian politician Eva Glavishnig Pichek, whatever, something like that, sued Facebook in Austrian courts, demanding that the company remove a defamatory comment someone posted about her. Recently, the post in question was made by a Facebook user who shared a link to a news article that called Glavishing Pichek a lousy traitor to the people, a corrupt oaf, and a member of a fascist party. Facebook at first had refused to remove the post, which in many countries would still be considered acceptable political speech. However, Austrian courts ruled that the post was intended to hurt her reputation, and the Austrian Supreme Court referred the case to the ECJ. In the ECJ statement, the highest court did clarify that Facebook and other social media companies are not liable for illegal content posted on their platform so long as they did not know it was illegal or removed it quickly. Regardless, the ruling still comes as a massive blow and a huge change for Facebook and places much more responsibility on the tech giant to and it's not just, okay, so this article's pretty much done. I've pretty much drank this can. It's a dead soldier now. It's not just Facebook. If you can say that speech you don't like is illegal, and that every social media company doing business in the EU has to censor content you call illegal, and you can basically make any content illegal, including political speech, which you say they're wrong about, but is just your basic boilerplate political speech. If you can make all that illegal, you can bar that from Twitter. You can bar that from Reddit. You can bar that from, fucking YouTube. Anything. Anything. It's not just Facebook. So Facebook is basically leading the charge in cucking to the EU and removing content in order to remain in the EU, right? It's so asinine. And people don't know about this. Like, when I posted about this, which I posted about it as basically as soon as I found out about it, I said that if EU courts think they can dictate what the net looks like, it's time for every Wexit. Brexit isn't enough, and it didn't even work, even though a majority wanted it and likely still want it. No quarter. They've declared war on your speech. If they take that, all else dies. Fuck EU, fuck ECJ. And I'm just waiting for them to take this down too, because it's considered, a defamatory speech against the EU or the ECJ. Because apparently the entire world has to pass the standards of the E-fucking-U now. And people aren't freaking out. And when I posted this before, I got a react, and I'm not remotely trying to shit on this person. He was genuinely interested in why this matters. So my post, he says, link to article or judgment that grants EU authority over my non-EU site, and I responded to him with a link to my post there, because I think that says enough. And he says, I remember reading those rulings when they first came out. Outside of social media and certain hosts, it doesn't impact me, which is why I'm working on my own social media site that will have unlimited access except for those under the EU, which can get in via an Onion browser. If you think this is a bigger deal, I'd like to understand your view. The fun part of this is when my PeerPort, working name, not public name, project goes live, which eliminates DNS and master-slave networks, it will run over existing IPv4 and IPv6 networks. I had to put the project on hold due to limitations of time, resources, and tech, but after the release of the new site, PeerPort will release to open source with the prototype code based on intelligent mesh networks. The worst that these people can do now is slow us or kill us. Otherwise, every obstacle is crossable. Maybe. But he asks me for how this affects him. So I post this in reply. Many hosts have servers stored in EU. All major social media services have at least some servers in the EU. The bulk of the ClearNet is there, enough to be subject to ECJ under this precedent. Most people avoid peer-to-peer because they're brainwashed to think this is all piracy, or that piracy is bad. That means the bulk of the net, sorry, I misspelled shit, is centralized. Those central powers could either follow ECJ or tell them to get bent, and they made their choice clear. This is why it matters, because while what you're doing interests me, enough of the net doesn't care that about their freedom that I'm the first more than a few people heard talk about this issue at all, much less that they care enough to use your software. Or even look for it, really. This precedent is enough for EU to use ECJ to take over the net slowly. Censor creep will be a very real threat. They won't do it all at once, and likely not through legal action. That's already done. Likely TOS changes against wrongthink, banning people for lawbreaking, like hurting a politician's feelings. If this doesn't look like a problem to you, I don't know what more I can tell you. He says it's worth considering your position. I'm saving this post so that I can come back to it. So, I don't know how this isn't a huge deal to people. The fact that an overseas fucking giant court can tell Americans, what they can and can't say. That's a big fucking problem to me. I don't know how it's not a bigger fucking problem. But somehow it isn't. You know? I just hate the fact that things aren't that people aren't angrier because copyright the other month was huge. People were talking about how Article 13 and all these fucking other provisions were going to make the EU in control of a lot of shit, and everybody freaked out. Everybody freaked out because that's a justifiable reason to be upset. But the EU being able to control what you post on Facebook isn't causing a freak out, isn't causing mass panic. I'm extremely fatigued. Troll with a Purpose says, could be Volenra's sister. I don't know who that is. Right, I'm new. Looks like I'm in this part of the internet. I don't know what you're referring to, but Kiwi Farm, go fuck yourself, Merkel. Yeah, I mean, realistically. I have... they had to respond by proving they were in Florida because somebody thought that they were like New Zealanders and that they could be controlled because of it. I have one. The feds are printing billions per day just to escape deflation. I don't know what one you're talking about. EU begging to get their army tested, right? Aaron says, haha, Americans will agree to war if they're told EU is trying to take their memes. Yeah, but at the same time, they're not upset that the EU has this level of control, and they absolutely do. They can control what you post on Facebook. They can decide that you can't insult a politician in a way they disagree with. That's insane! It's insane that they can delete insults they disagree with. Absolutely fucking nuts. Kenny K says, I am from EU. We have no say in what top politicians say or do. Okay, but at the same time, what I'm talking about here is an ECJ ruling that literally got a comment deleted from Facebook. So it's less about what politicians do, and it's more like what citizens can do. That's what I was talking about. A guy shared an article, and they pulled it down. And all instances of shares of that article got pulled down as well, because Facebook followed the EU's ruling that said that anything against our laws must be removed universally. And those include things like Austria having a law against people making their politicians sad or whatever. It's just such asinine garbage, you know? So I don't think I'm wrong here, like in the slightest. And it's frustrating because people should be up in arms. People should be angry, but they're not. Anyway, let me pull up the next subject. Get some fucking fluids in me too, because it doesn't get any better from here. It actually gets fucking worse. It's absolutely stunning to me that the common person isn't angrier. I know I'm bipolar. I know I have mental conditions that make me angry. And I know that I, could get medicated for it and not feel like this so goddamn much. But, if there has to be like a minority of people who are angry at shit, it might as well be somebody who has an overabundance of rage. Anyway, I figured I'd hit that subject because it needs to be hit. And I found, by the way, the tweet about the copyright thing that I put out there. Hey, The Economist, does Alex Arcolio own this video? Because apparently playing it for the purposes of fair use criticism means he can get a whole video demonetized. And when I start collecting revenue for vids, he'll claim the whole thing. How about y'all? Issues on your end? They haven't responded yet. They left me on red. People should be furious. And, that's just one issue, right? This is another issue. This is a post that was up in the libertarian group. And it's so fucking strange that this is something people are seriously attempting to mainstream in libertarians. The anarchists that I exposed the Discord of, the reason I got the death threat last week, was because, 2 days ago, I guess, was because of people in the libertarian community trying to mainstream this. Newsflash. It's not libertarian for an adult to take sexual advantage of a 14-year-old or anybody younger. It's stupid. But here we are. Here we are talking about this yet a fucking again. So she posts this, getting the names for the people who voted the other ages, but just a heads up. And my comment here was in reply to somebody else's, where they're trying to rationalize this sort of like, I respect these people in many ways, and discussing things that are taboo is what anarchy is for, right? But at the same time, there are limits. And I don't know how we can survive as a movement if we don't set these limits hard. And so I replied to this thread where Zach Edward Dolan was saying that he fucking remembers being 11 and he wanted sexual relations with an adult. And I said, very simply, you were in puberty. A woman who would have acted on your desires would have been taking advantage of your low reasoning skills and high hormones. You could not have consented. He says, agreed, I had high hormones. Disagree about reasoning skills. IQ put me at a mental age of 17. And I said, yet your prefrontal cortex had guaranteedly not even developed a quarter of the way. I don't care what you think your or any other boy's mental age is. A woman fucking an 11-year-old can't obtain consent. And he says, so you think I have false memories or what? I said, I think you don't know what you're talking about and confuse desires for biological milestones and neurological development. I was clear. If this is how you feel, I hope you don't have kids, because any 11-year-old fucked by an adult has been taken advantage of and they need help, not a high five. And he says, I'm not talking about anyone but myself. Read my first post on this thread. 11-year-old me is fine. My 11-year-old daughter is not. And I said, 11-year-old boy is not. No matter who. Retroactively making this point about you seems to be an attempt at saying there are exceptions. Hell, girls mature sooner than boys. So your point is double stupid. Both girls and boys need protection from adults who want to fuck them, and I don't mean a condom. And he says, personally, I'm not attracted to kids at all, but my memory doesn't jive with theory, so I'm trying to understand why. I'm not attempting to say pedophilia is okay, just trying to have a logically consistent view of reality. I didn't want to be protected from sex. It ended up being a moot point because nobody wanted to have sex with me as a teen, but I still want to better understand the thinking behind preventing me from legally consenting as a teen. I said, it's not legality with which I'm concerned. It's biology and morality. Your feelings, desires, and urges do not substitute science, and the science says no 11-year-old has the ability to consent. Logical consistency means looking at the facts, and the fact is kids shouldn't always get what they want, especially when getting it would be an adult taking advantage of a boy's puberty. It's why there are parents to keep kids from doing whatever they want, so they grow up before jumping into choices like sex. I gave you insight into the thinking. Underdeveloped prefrontal cortices and high hormones make for irrational minds, and yours was not an exception, no matter how much you want to think it was. Hell, if I had gotten what I wanted at that age, a lot of innocent people wouldn't be alive. Kids aren't ready for a lot of things, and sex is among those things. Don't pretend otherwise. He says, so the brain keeps developing by 25s. The brain development argument... Sorry, by the brain development argument, shouldn't that be the age of consent then? And I haven't responded to this because I had shit to do. Yeah, probably. I mean, if you wanted to go that route, I think 18 is a nice halfway point between when it starts and when it finishes. And it's pretty guaranteeably after everybody's out of puberty. I think that's why it makes a good number. It says, I view sex as something awesome and positive. Why withhold that from anyone? Because they don't get it. Anyone is a dumb thing to say. It's incredibly dumb. Because you should withhold sex from a 6-year-old. It's dumb to insinuate otherwise. Because the survival of humanity relies on the protection of the young. And the protection of the young includes not allowing a 6-year-old to fuck an adult. Really, allowing them to fuck it all seems incredibly... I don't know why we're having this conversation levels of retarded to me. Yes, agreed, 11-year-olds really aren't mature enough to make good decisions except by chance, and we shouldn't be relying on luck for something with potentially lifelong consequences, but I still want to think this through a bit more and discuss the thinking and ramifications. Why withhold sex from 10-year-olds then? You just said 11-year-olds really aren't mature enough, right? So, nobody is. Like, just don't fuck kids. Don't encourage adults to fuck kids. No matter what their gender, no matter what anyone, mental age, blah, blah. It's all pedantic trash. And I stand by everything I said in that thread. The fact that we're having this discussion, the fact that it's based on a poll that is now taken down. I tried to find the poll so that I could show you guys, but it's been removed. Where people were dead-ass saying that the age of consent could be 14 or lower. I don't know how we're still fucking having this conversation. There's no reason to fucking have this conversation. None. But we are, I guess, because I guess we can't just say no anymore. We can't just say, that's bullshit, don't remotely come at me with it. We gotta just, let the conversation happen. Am I old? Is that it? Am I already fucking old? I'm not even 30 yet. Do I just not get the kids these days? Shit. Troll with a Purpose says, uh-oh, HK police shot a 14-year-old. Shit's about to get real. Yeah, probably. I mean, they've already been protesting solid for a long time now. Punish the boys is the only thing that works. Women are about agency without responsibility. I don't know what you're saying there. You're going to have to elaborate. Hey man, what do you think about the whole Joe situation? I don't know what you're talking about. You're going to have to elaborate as well. I don't follow every situation that closely, so I'm going to have more information. If you guys decide you want to support that, though, I'm just going to throw the PayPal link in there again. But anyway, I'm just deeply frustrated because this is obvious. It's obvious, it's obviously bad, and most people don't care. While people are having this dead-ass conversation about whether or not kids should be able to fuck adults. Ethically. No. Just say no. No is the answer. No is the answer. The fact that we're having this discussion seems absurd to me. The prefrontal cortex is not done developing, and it's not even close. It's not mostly done at that point. 14 isn't even most developed. So your reasoning skills are crippled, no matter what you think, no matter what you believe your mental age was. And that mental age thing is all about, schools and standardization. So, yeah, your mental age might be that for dealing with calculus, but your mental age for dealing with complex life situations and reasoning shit might not be. You might be a savant, who knows? We don't. And that's the reason we say kids shouldn't fuck adults. I don't know why we're having this conversation. It's so fucking irritating. And I've been having it so many times recently. I mean, let's be fucking specific. I started anti-pedo action and got banned from Discord for doing it, even though I violated 0 policies. This is where we are these days, you know? So, yeah, copyright will kill this channel, but we're all dying anyway. And I'm not going to stop speaking the truth no matter what happens. I found a new guy to appreciate. His name is John Mark Dougan. He's a former United States Marine and former deputy sheriff, now living in Russia for political asylum, soon to become a Russian citizen. I found out about him over a Russia Today video based on a link Finian sent me. If you're in chat, Finian, thanks for the link, because this is a rabbit hole that I'm glad I went down. This guy basically ran a website for cops to expose other cops. And his website basically started to expose cops that didn't want to be exposed. And so they told him to take it down. You know, they told him to take these images down of cops with, like, prostitutes and shit. And I'm just going to scroll through his website while I talk about it. And later on, he got a cop to think that he was, you know, a woman, so that he could find out that, hey, they actually want this guy dead now. John Mark Dougan. They wanted him dead. So he fled. After they raided his home and, you know, I think pointed guns at his kids or whatever, he fled because he didn't want to die. You know? He fled. And this guy is now living in Russia away from his family. He wants to return, but he doesn't want to return so that they can either kill him, which is what they were saying they wanted to do, or just let him die in jail. He can't be productive. He can't look after his kids. He can look better after his kids through a webcam than he can through a prison cell. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to silence this guy. And all he did was speak the truth. Now apply that EU rule, right? Apply the EU rule that they're coming out with, where you can't say anything that a politician doesn't like, right? It's depressing. It's depressing. You should be able to run a website like this. You should be able to say whatever the fuck you want, as long as it's not illegal in your jurisdiction. You know, big businesses shouldn't give a shit. You know? And to me, even if it is illegal, they're just fucking words. They shouldn't be illegal. But his speech got him sent out of the US. His press got him sent to the point where he had to sneak into Canada so that he could sneak a flight to Russia. There's so many people who don't get that lucky, who aren't that lucky, who don't just like take a car from a parking lot to the middle of Canada so that they can take a plane to fucking Russia. There are a lot of people who don't have the means for that sort of situation. And so they just end up behind bars because they pissed off the wrong corrupt person. Like those cops who beat the fuck out of fellow cops because they were exposing the fact that literally gangs ran the sheriff's department. And we're sacrificing our informational autonomy to big central powers, not the least of which is the fucking EU. Troll with a Purpose says, Teen boys that hooked up with older women in the 70s were punished. I don't remember that, but, that doesn't make any sense to me. It makes more sense to me that the adult who took advantage of the kids should be punished. Going after the women just makes for crying and white knights to try and legitimize it. That doesn't matter to me. I really don't care. Do what's right no matter what the reaction is. That's my bias. L. Lee says, bind demons, send to hell. I guess ideally, I don't know. I think we have to slay these demons on the planet, personally. First name, last name, and that's when Joe comes in. How did you miss that? I don't know who you're talking about. You're gonna have to elucidate. Like Joe the guy. I don't know who you're talking about. Fucking Joe Pesci? Joe Damaris? Joe DiMaggio? Which Joe? You're gonna have to be more specific. Fucking all that aside, I just thought I'd go over all that, and in the last parts of my stream, go over the fact that because I didn't know about the Serbian bombings under Clinton, and now I know about them, it's just yet more bodies to add to the body count of the Clinton family. Let me be very, very fucking serious here for a moment and read this article on Counterpunch. Forgotten lies almost guarantee new political treachery. 20 years ago, President Bill Clinton commenced bombing Serbia in the name of human rights, justice, and ethnic tolerance. Approximately 1,500 Serb civilians were killed by NATO bombing in one of the biggest sham morality plays of the modern era. As British professor Philip Hammond recently noted, the 78-day bombing campaign was not a purely military operation. NATO also destroyed what it called dual-use targets, such as factories, city bridges, and even the main television building in downtown Belgrade, in an attempt to terrorize the country into surrender. Clinton's unprovoked attack on Serbia, intended to help ethnic Albanians seize control of Kosovo, set a precedent for humanitarian warring that was invoked by supporters of George W. Bush's unprovoked attack on Iraq, Barack Obama's bombing of Libya, and Donald Trump's bombing of Syria. Clinton remains a hero in Kosovo, and there's an 11-foot statue of him standing in the capital, Pristina, on Bill Clinton Boulevard. A commentator in the UK's Guardian newspaper noted that the statue showed Clinton with a left hand raised, a typical gesture of a leader greeting the masses. In his right hand, he's holding the documents engraved with the date when NATO started the bombardment of Serbia, 24th of March, 1999. It would have been a more accurate representation if Clinton was shown standing on the corpses of the women, children, and others killed in the U.S. bombing campaign. Please go read the rest of this article. It's intense. There's too much here, and I don't want to fucking literally commit copyright fraud or infringement or whatever by typing, saying things that are all typed out here. There's more. There's much more. And the article is aptly titled, America's Forgotten Bullshit Bombing of Serbia. And this is Bill Clinton. The same person who's guilty of this, which I can't fathom why people don't talk about this more. This is on the Jacobin by Nathan J. Robinson. In 1998, Clinton ordered the bombing of a medicine factory in Sudan. The country has yet to recover. This is the Al-Shifa pharmaceutical factory. Before 14 cruise missiles turned it into a heap of twisted steel and medical detritus, the Al-Shifa factory in Khartoum was the largest manufacturer of medicines in all of Sudan, producing over half the country's pharmaceutical products and specializing in anti-malaria drugs. But on August 20th, 1998, the plant was pulverized, reduced to nothing but broken concrete and iron bars, leaving thousands of brown bottles of veterinary and other medicines littered across the sand. 14 years later, its wreckage remained a shrine to an incident the locals still refer to as a terrorist attack. The Al-Shifa plant had been taken out on the direct orders of Bill Clinton. The strike was in retaliation for Osama bin Laden's recent bombings of the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. In addition to the destroying the Al-Shifa, the administration targeted a group of Al-Qaeda training camps in Afghanistan. When it was pointed out to the Clinton administration that they had just eliminated one of Sudan's major medical suppliers, spokespeople claimed the plant was actually a disguised chemical weapons factory. They insisted that the, quote, soil samples taken outside the plant had shown the presence of a substance known as AMPTA, whose only function was to make the nerve gas VX. The plant, they said, was heavily guarded, and it showed a suspicious lack of ordinary commercial activities. All this turned out to be false. Now, depending on the sources you go to, this attack resulted in anywhere from, and yes, I know this is a broad range, but 3,000 to 30,000 deaths of innocent Sudanese people. And the reason the numbers range that far is because the 3,000 estimate is an estimate of the amount of people in the factory. So it killed, in or around whatever, the factory. So it killed at least that many. And then potentially, because of the lack of medicine in the region, because the largest pharmaceutical manufacturer in the fucking region was taken out, 30,000 potential people, including those dead on scene, killed by Bill Clinton. So if these two numbers are taken in conjunction, like round up 32,000 people killed by Bill Clinton's presidency, killed by his administration, I can't fathom that being attached to a progressive hero. But for some reason it's authorized in the minds of most people to ignore this shit. When to me, this shit is the last thing you want to ignore. When the powers that be are murderers, why should you believe anything they say? Why should you do what they tell you to do? Why should you follow their orders when the EU does shit? You know, the powers that be are evil. Fuck them. Do what you want. Do what your ethics and your conscience say to do. That's my bias. And it's frustrating because I've brought up Al-Shifa so many fucking times, and most times people have no clue what I'm talking about. Fucking Bill Clinton's a murderer. He's a murderer. But most people just think he's that kind of funny voice guy who he had some problems with infidelity. That's what they think of Clinton. They think he's just an infidelitous guy who just had his way with a secretary. They forget that he did all this other stuff. He did all this other stuff, among which was being a fucking murderer. That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm probably butchering that impression. It doesn't fucking matter. If you want to get people on board with the fact that the elites are scum, tell them Bill Clinton's a murderer. Tell them Bill Clinton is a murderer. And that should be enough to get them on board. And speaking of murder, let's talk about the fact that when people aren't talking about things that they could, right? When people aren't talking about Bill Clinton being a murderer when they could be, because the anniversary of the bombing of Serbia, they're prepping for a murder that didn't happen. When they're prepping for deaths at showings of The Joker. A Huntington Beach, California theater showing Joker closed Thursday after the venue received what police believe to be a credible threat. And he broke records. So 13.3 million preview gross. But like, police presences are being increased. Police presences are being increased. And people are fine with this. People are just like, oh yeah, that's an evil movie with evil people who like it, so you can't have just people going to a fucking movie, right? I don't know. People don't care about real murder, and they care about not real murder way too much. That's my beef today. Anyway. All that aside, if you want to support the channel, there are many ways to do so in the description. I will greatly appreciate it. If you want to support the channel directly and help me pay rent coming up here soon, there's that PayPal link in the chat. Feel free. But it doesn't matter either way, because, there's every likelihood that information like this won't spread no matter how many people like me are out there banging the drum. Especially since when this information spreads in a way that the EU doesn't like, I guess we can have it suppressed. Anyway, I'm going to check the chat. If y'all have anything else you want to say. What about Hilldog? I don't actually know who you're talking about. Let me check. Oh. Okay. Yeah, but people talk about her a lot anyway. And yes, she's evil too, but I argue her husband is more evil. Hillary is who you mean by Hilldog, I'm assuming. Because the person who rabidly supports Hillary Clinton that Urban Dictionary says is the definition. I'm assuming that's not what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, no. She's not nearly as evil as Bill. Bill is a husk of a human now because he knows what he did. He knows the evil he perpetuated and participated in, and it gets to him. It doesn't get to Hillary. She just laughs it off, We came, we saw, he died. I mean, admittedly, Gaddafi's evil. He was evil, but he was also trying to establish a Pan-African currency, which wasn't based on the dollar, so that Africa could have some sovereignty over the U.S. hegemony that's been placed as a stranglehold over global finance. So, I mean, yeah, ultimately, she's evil. But so was the people that she was up against. Like, it's a wash. The only reason Gaddafi died is because he wasn't serving interests. The U.S. basically created ISIS. The U.S. basically created Al-Qaeda. CIA giving money, training, all this, weapons to all these evil people. It all comes out in the wash. But Bill Clinton is surprisingly and stunningly evil, and his evil is surprisingly and stunningly under-discussed. Because 32,000 people is a really high death toll for an individual, especially one under supposed American freedom doctrines and beliefs. That's my buy-in, That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm putting my chips. Anyway, if there's nothing else to discuss, I got a bunch of stuff that I'm going to bring up tomorrow, but I'm also going to try and spend a decent chunk of this evening making notes for a new episode of Hellscape, which I should have brought back already but didn't. If y'all want to support this content, feel free. There's a PayPal link in the chat. There are PayPal and other links in the description. There are many ways you can support me. If you support my sponsors, you also support me by proxy, because they will continue being sponsors as long as people actually go and buy their products and services. So feel free to do any of the things in the description to help me out. I accept cryptocurrency, the whole deal. Anyway, be well, everyone. Smash the state.